As you know, I'm committed to actually bringing back the attention back to BTS, the Seven Boys, because we are giving our attention for free to Mama Roach and to other snakes that don't deserve it. So I want to talk about the song, "The Truth Untold," which is actually one, I believe, one of the most beautiful songs they have ever released, finely written. And I it's actually rare that people talk about the technical supremacy of this song, so I want to highlight some of the things that people don't really talk about. Okay, you love that song, me too. So one thing is that there actually is a very good interplay between the melody and the lyrics. The verses are actually built around descending melodic lines, like someone feeling. So it kind of feels like the melody is written like an emotion would feel when you're starting to feel more and more helpless. That's kind of what it feels like. Like you're sinking into something. It starts on a higher note and gently steps down, creating a cascading effect. So it goes down, then goes up a little, then go lower, then just go up a little, and then goes lower again. So it cascades down. It actually mirrors the feeling of sinking into loneliness. So I can sing for my life, but if you remember, this is the romanization of the actual lyrics. So it kind of feels like, oh, it cascades down, like you're sinking into something. A lot of people don't notice that, but it mirrors the emotions that it's trying to communicate. So if you imagine that in terms of a piano piece, or piano notes, it goes A, G, all major, A, G, F sharp, and E. So it goes down. Okay. um so, okay, sorry. Now the role of the vocalist actually interplays with what it is trying to communicate. Two of the members represents the hope and the desperation in the song, and then the two others represent the acceptance and the sadness. So Jimin and Jungkook, they usually sing in falsetto, and they represent the hope and desperation. V and Jin sings in deep resonance, and they represent acceptance and sadness in the song. So it complements the emotion that they're trying to communicate. In opposition, the chorus is actually ascending, so everything is descending except for the chorus, where it actually ascends. In the line, "But I still want you," the melody rises, particularly in the word "one." So that is the only, almost only part in the song where it actually goes up. Everything goes down. So it begins on a lower pitch, and then it ascends E, and then F sharp, G, and A. The other one is it goes low. Now, the thing is that the entire song, almost the entire song, not almost the entire song, but the major key that the song actually plays on is D major. But and usually D major songs are uplifting. When you want to write something that is sad, you usually go for minor songs, the minor keys. But this one was D major hinged. It was hinged on D major. But then there are certain points where it would go down to minor keys. So it could actually mean that the song isn't what we think that it is. Because usually we feel sad. It is usually attached to a negative emotion, the emotion of sadness and desperation. But the mere fact that they wrote it on a D major means that probably they're not trying to mean it to be fully sad. It's more about acceptance. And that adds to the dynamism of the lyrics and the message of the song. Steve Aoki is the one who produced the song. Somebody already said that in the chat. And he is known to be, he's actually a producer, so he loves playing with beats, with instruments. But in here he actually restrained himself, which actually made me admire him so much more, because he allowed the vocal line and the lyrics to carry the song. He made everything minimal, the instruments, the play of the instruments and the melody. He just allowed the lyrics and the voices to actually carry the song. Now, I don't know if you all are aware of it, But the story of the Smeraldo flower was first introduced in the Smeraldo blog. So I don't know if you guys followed that blog, but in there is an entry of the La Chita di Smeraldo, which is the city of emerald, is actually what it means. And the story of that is that in that garden there is a deformed man. So the garden was being taken care of a uh, by a deformed man. He's very ugly, but then there is this girl, a beautiful girl that would constantly steal flowers from his garden, and he, the deformed man, would actually eventually fell in love with the girl, but he never had the chance to he never not never had a chance, but he never had the courage to introduce himself to the girl because he felt he was too ugly for her. And so he actually decided that he was just going to grow the garden so that she will keep on coming to the garden to steal his flowers. So that was his great sacrifice. It's the only way he can express his love to this girl who doesn't even know he exists, just cause he was too afraid to introduce himself because he was deformed. And that continued. She would go to the garden, steal some flowers. He would always want to introduce himself, never had the chance to until she eventually died. Now, that, i- as we know, that story has been, well, not changed, but it was grown, not Jimin actually took that story and sort of continued it to a different direction because he turned the Smeraldo fiction into something beautiful now. But that's where it actually started. And so the song, if you actually, I don't know how often you actually listen or look at the lyrics of the song, the entire story of the song tells of that unrequited love, that love song, that painful one-sided love, the true love of a man who doesn't feel that he deserves the love that the other person could give just because he doesn't feel that he's enough for the other person. So if you look at the lyrics, it's so beautiful because they were able to communicate that story. Loneliness blooms all through this garden, bristling with thorns, to this sandcastle I've chained myself. What is your name? So this is the guy asking the girl. So he's saying that he has chained himself into the garden because he feels so undeserving of everything else because he feels that he's so ugly. What is your name? Do you even have a place to go? Oh, could you tell me? I saw you hid away in this garden, because she would often come to steal his flowers. And I know that all of your warmth is real. The hand that snaps the blue flowers, that's the Smeraldo flower, I want to hold, but that's my fate. Don't make me smile, light on me, because I can approach you. There's no name for me to call. Because he doesn't know he doesn't know the name of the girl. You know that I can't show you me, give you me. I can't show you such a weak self. So I wear my mask again to go see you, but I still want you. So that is the meaning of the song. The next time that you actually listen to the song, you would know what it actually means. That he loves the girl, and but he feels undeserving. He feels so ugly that he is ashamed of himself. He doesn't think that he deserves her. He wouldn't even make a move, and the only way he could show the love for the girl is to grow the garden so that she can continue to come and steal the flowers in his garden. Imagine the sacrifice of that love. And as we know, BTS themselves eventually felt that way. Just as so it is clear, BTS felt that they were the ugly men. And we, armies, we are the beautiful girls that would come to their garden to steal their flowers. We would come to them to use their songs as comfort, steal their narratives so that it would work on our lives, steal their messages so that we can make our lives better. But they can't approach us. They can't introduce to us the real them, because they feel that they don't deserve the love that we can give. So I hope that the next time you listen to the song, and that of course you can relate to many other things in your lives, but it is a song of pure unrequited love of a person who feels they don't deserve to get anything in return. And that's why the interplay of the melody, of the chorus, of the sparseness of the beats and the instruments, I think perfectly jive with the overall message of the song. Truth Untold and Black Swan are two songs which really conveys a lot of meaning. Others too, but these two songs are so touching. Yeah, I think the one thing that I really love about the Truth Untold is the how they were actually able to tell the entire story in one song. Like this is one lifetime in one song, if you think about it. Because I thought I was gonna cough. So because if you think about it, there the the man's life, the man who feels he's so ugly, the man's life, his life is that garden and the girl. And him singing this song for the girl, that's his entire life. And so this entire song is one lifetime. Think about how genius that is. And think about how genius they managed to actually make the melody descending. Like that if you listen to it closely, it actually feels like you're descending. So it feels like he's kind of sinking and sinking and sinking into helplessness. But then there is that touch of courage and hope or submission of them saying, but I still want you. No matter how undeserving I am, no matter how ugly I am, I still want you. So, yeah. So, next time you listen to the song, really listen and see if you can actually match the message of the song to anything that you have in your life. Like, have you ever loved anybody that purely that you're willing to grow that garden just as so that person can come and steal the flowers on your garden to make them feel better, even though they don't know that you're the one providing the flowers.